iPhones are going to be $2,300. That's the reality.
Remember when Donald Trump was a Russian operative? I do.
We've spent a lot of years getting cheap stuff. That is likely going to end, at least for now.
Let's hop into a Fox News panel with multiple MAGA commentators whose names I don't know. Kayleigh McEnany is one of them. The rest, I apologize, but they do go full clown show in these clips trying to defend tariffs, showing that Fox News might be the only people who know less about tariffs than Donald Trump. So if you can take a second, like the video, we'd really appreciate it. And let's otherwise get into this with our fact checks ready.
China entered the WTO back in 2001. We've spent a lot of years getting cheap stuff. That is likely going to end, at least for now. iPhones are going to be $2,300. That's the reality. And then look, that's why a lot of the market is selling off, because they're realizing that the global supply chain is about to be completely upended. But if you look at the decline of the American worker and the shrinking of the American factory and the loss of American jobs, it is because of China. I've always said we enabled China as a nation, and I'm going back 20 years. I'm not talking about right now. So the fight against China that Donald Trump has brought to the table has been successful and needed to happen. In his first term, tariffs against China were successful. They weren't this extreme.
You have to love, you have to appreciate, you have to respect the speed at which MAGA went from higher prices are evil and is why we need Trump to paying higher prices is patriotic because we're fighting China. The fact that she is saying iPhones will now be $2,300 as if that is a good thing is insane. It's just insanity. I mean, she's right, I guess, in terms of China being to blame for some things in terms of domestic the domestic economy, but it's not like China. It's more so corporate CEOs who realize they can move factories overseas and get cheaper labor and these kinds of things. And it's not really how she's saying, right? It's China isn't the reason we don't have a burgeoning textile or steel industry. They just have the infrastructure that we don't to perform better in these sectors. And tariffing China doesn't magically poof better paying American jobs. It doesn't magically poof a textile industry. The chance that we have a booming American clothes making industry in the next 10 years is under 1% with or without tariffs.
And then you had Joe Biden, who didn't enforce what was supposed to be happening. China was supposed to be buying American agricultural products. You know what? They did not. And he didn't enforce it. So they've had 4 years of a break, and now that break is over for China. As far as the market goes, though, I have to say, yes, there are a lot of big companies that have exposure to China, and that is why the market is very concerned and has every right to be. The bigger picture is that we pull back. I think that, and I believe this, I think reciprocal tariffs would have gone over easier with market participants than the charts that they pulled out into the Rose Garden on Wednesday. When they saw the different percentages, and I think that's when the market said, wait a minute, this is a little more dicey than we wanted to see.
Or, you know, the market didn't like that the numbers on the chart were completely made up and didn't reflect actual tariffs at all. Trump's first-term tariffs led to tens of thousands of jobs being lost, a literal manufacturing recession, loss in GDP, and price increases that reflected billions, with a B, of dollars paid out by the consumers as a result of those tariffs. What part of that is considered a success? They are pretty widely considered a massive fail. Also, do these people expect nobody that to even watch them? Or do they expect nobody that watches them to research the things they say? Either way, China did buy agriculture under Biden. I don't know where she got that claim from. They were our largest importer of agriculture at over $40 billion in 2022. Biden also kept many of the Trump tariffs and added additional ones as well. So it seems like a complete misnomer to me.
Manufacturing industries fled their communities, opposes what Trump is doing. He went on in a different tweet to say, those who are screeching the loudest are those who have been wrong. And it occurred to me, Tommy, remember when Donald Trump was a Russian operative? I do. That's what the media told us. Remember when the Hunter Biden laptop was misinformation? I do. Remember when Donald Trump could never win an election, nevertheless a primary? I remember that. And remember when COVID could have never originated in a lab? All those voices are the same ones telling us this will be a disaster. Now, that doesn't mean this is all going to work out.
How are you going to try to say 4 things to support your case and 3 of them are false? Like, holy shit. Yeah, Trump won a primary in an election. Outside of that, everything she said, completely false claims. Trump himself admitted that his son took information from the Russians. The Mueller report said Trump colluded with the Russians, but there wasn't willful intent they could prove, which would be what led to collusion, I guess. So there was interaction. They took information from Russia, right? That interfered with the election. Trump then sent Russia COVID protective equipment while states were fighting over it. He left office, had secret conversations with Putin, of which he won't disclose the contents of. And since returning to office, has done nothing but Kremlin talking points, like Ukraine has started the war. He's appointed literally someone that Russian state media said is Putin's favorite agent to head national security. Like, let's be all the way for real. Right now, Russia liberals have never been more vindicated. You don't get that attack line right now. We were right? COVID also almost definitely didn't start in a lab. I would die on that hill. And I don't know why MAGA is running around right now like they were proven right on this. Most of the intelligence community still leads towards origins being in nature. There's been no discovery that like makes it lead towards being in a lab. I'm pretty sure, and we've gone through this in a video before, if I remember the numbers off top, I think 4 in the intelligence community still lean heavily that it's nature, origins of nature. They even have like a food market, probably where it started is ground zero. I think 2 believe that it could being the operative word, could have started in the lab, but they aren't saying that they think that it did, that it's possible. And then there's a few who won't weigh in. That is literally where we're at in terms of like the COVID origin thing. Lastly, Hunter Biden's laptop was said to probably, again, being the operative word here, probably Russian misinformation in its existence. They said the existence of it was probably Russian misinformation. This is what the 50 security officials signed on the letter for. You hear Fox News always bring it up, and the right has misconstrued it ever since. They thought this, by the way, these 50 intelligence security officials didn't just think this for any reason or because it's a Hunter Biden laptop, but because a known Russian agent is who turned in the laptop. And that is literally why they were saying, well, if this is the source, it's probably not trustable, which is literally just what you probably should think, right? And while yes, its existence is real, they were wrong on that. Literally every single claim that the laptop was said it would prove has turned out to be complete misinformation. Literally every single one. You can't take one claim. I'll wait. If any MAGA is watching this, I'll wait. Tell me one claim that MAGA said, hey, we have this laptop and it'll prove this, that it proved, because it actually debunked multiple. But I'll let it rest, right? We're supposed to believe that these people were lying, that, oh, we can't trust the media or the security officials because they said the existence is probably misinformation instead of saying the contents were probably misinformation. They were literally 99% right. They were one word, a bit of semantics from being entirely right in what they were saying. Like, give me a break. MAGA represents the literal most pathetic group of people ever.